But we got something coming up here, which is it's funny. I just saw this earlier, and Newcastle's extremely difficult Sandro Tonali task as ex-detective slams keyboard warriors. So Newcastle United have stressed there was no way the club would have known about Sandro Tonali's gambling addiction, and a former police detective who helps the club do due diligence has given his take on this matter. Now, I personally have said, maybe we should hire a personal investigator and all that, and maybe we should do that. But according, to this, the club already does, and I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. But he says this: it would have been extremely difficult for Newcastle to have found out about Tonali's gambling addiction or any breaches of gambling rules. The old days of players going into betting shops and being recognized are long gone. They can do everything on their phones to set up an account with a bookmaker. All you need are your bank details and an email address. That information remains private between you and the bookie. Who else is going to know? He added, for those people saying that Newcastle failed to do their due diligence, I'd say it's easy to create sound bites from the safety of your keyboard without knowing all the facts or the processes that were undertaken. Before I go to your take, that's 100%. I can agree with that, but that doesn't mean that Milan didn't know. Tonali, you gotta understand this. For people in the United States, Milan is like New York City. There's nothing goes unknown and unheard in New York City. Essentially, like in the small town where I live, where everybody knows everybody, and everybody knows what you do. Tonali is a top-rated player, born in Milan, follows Milan, playing for Milan. It's almost. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but it has the condiments of Alan Shearer in Newcastle, right? Not he's not the idol or the icon that Alan was in Newcastle for Milan, but get the point. He's got eyes on him all the time. In Milan, reporters everywhere. There's no way. There's no way that Milan didn't know, and that is my point. Not if everybody else on Newcastle, they did us the wrong, and they were cool about it, But what do you think, man?
Well, I cannot believe that Milan didn't know about it. Cannot believe it, and that's the only thing to me that explains why we got him for 50 million. Because at the time, he should have cost 80, 90 million, and for them to sell him to us for 50 million, they knew what was coming round the corner. Stitched us up. I'm sure that behind the scenes, PIF's legal team are doing everything, or will have done everything to discover that. And I mean, you can go into millions of conspiracy theories, but it could well be that they've come to an agreement with Milan whereby they're not going to sue them or do them for malpractice, because there may be another transfer in the pipeline or whatever. We don't know. So that could be one reason, because, as I say, any contract of any weight these days invariably, almost always, contains a clause which has to be agreed to by both parties, which says words to the effect of, are you aware of any circumstances which could jeopardize the terms of this contract? So Tonali has signed that, knowing already that he was going to be done for gambling. Milan have signed that contract, knowing that he was going to get done. And so they're both wide open for legal action, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm sure behind the scenes there must have been some some deal done. It's either still ongoing and they're still preparing the evidence, or there's been a deal done to say, right, we got him for 15 mil, fair dues. Our bad, and could they be paying some of his wages or whatever? We know. I think it's already been published now that he did take a massive pay cut
Is that right?
for the year that he's been unavailable. So
Yeah.
the truth is we will never know.
Let's go with let's go with what the folks are saying. Beer says, "Why are we talking about Tonali as if he was using a normal regulated bookmaker? He was using black market bookmakers. Hence, how Fagioli got 3 million in debt." Gary says, "No one would have known about the Tonali issue. My friend has 3 accounts, all in different names, to get the deals." That's fun. Just saying. Sorry, man. I just thought that was funny. Matt says, also poker and blackjack isn't legal in Italy, so that's part of the ban. Oh well, that's is that. See, I mean, I didn't know, but that's interesting take right there. Troll says, has the rat Fagiolo, isn't it Fagioli or Fagiolo, gotten any punishment? Can't say I have seen it. To be fair, well, I mean, that's part of being
Yeah,
a
yeah.
rat. That's part of
I
being a
think
rat, man.
he got 3 months or something.
He got 6 months, I believe.
Massively reduced sentence compared to
Yeah,
Tonali.
yeah, of course. Mighty Mag Milan must have known about Tonali ban. Beer Bike in Milan has to know fire sale best player. Neil says the only reason I think they know is because of investigation and probably been tipped off by prosecutors in Italy. Matt, also, if he doesn't renew his contract out of goodwill this summer, I'm going to be real disappointed. Renew his contract.
No, his contract runs until
Yeah.
2028, isn't it?
Yeah, we've given him a massive contract. This guy, over 100 people watching, ladies and gentlemen, 107 right now, combined with Twitter and of course YouTube. So please, if you're on the Twitter side, come on to the YouTube side, as we don't always stream on Twitter, and we always do every day on the YouTube. And you can find us right now at NUFC Talk TV. And just type it on your search thing, and you will find us. Me and the old man.
Contract
Right.
expires June 2028. Current contract.
There it goes. Right. So Charles says, can't discover if a player has an addiction. They don't talk about people about it. Well, that is true as far as an addiction is concerned, but the fact of betting and constantly doing that, there is a trace to that. There's just the action. Now, whether he's an addict or not, then that's it's I mean, it's almost irrelevant to finding out the issue, right? Because I might not be like a drug addict, but if I smoked weed just recreationally for a day, if I go to my job and they do a drug test, they'll find out that I did the act of smoking pot or marijuana. I'm not an addict. I don't have to be an addict. Now, the addict thing, as far as we're concerned, is a thing that they used as a reasoning of what's happening. But I mean, ultimately, listen, it could have just been it could have just we could have just played the addict card as well. We don't know, man. I mean, I don't know Tonali, you know, to say any different. I know that we'd like to think he wouldn't lie.
I don't go along with all this addiction thing. Yes, he can be a compulsive gambler. Not a problem there. He's got a problem. Look, but he doesn't have to bet on football. That's what he's been done for, betting on football.
Well, if he, I mean, football is what he knows. He would do that, right?
So that's not an addiction. That's kind of
Well, yeah,
been
I get the point.
well thought out.
Yeah, yeah. Welcome, Stephen Harker says, "Common Derek, they knew nothing. It's all opinions. 80, 90 million. He's 23 and not proved himself yet. He was an Italian world record in their markets much cheaper." Uh, well, I mean, so
I'm not sure what he means by Italian world record.
are you saying that he essentially the 60 million that we pay for him is not is what we would have paid for him anyway? Maybe he's saying that it's not really that cheap. For Tonali, I don't believe that. I mean, I think that let me tell you something. AC Milan is a club with uh, enough. How can you say it? A good pair on them that they're not just gonna sell players if they're not happy with the price. I mean, it's not that the Premier League, any Premier League club comes to Milan and says, "Listen, I'm gonna give you this for Tonali, get him ready we can take him to England." That doesn't work like that. It's you don't bully Italians, especially with with the history of Italians and Sicilians. And of course, we're talking about Milan. Somebody's going to educate me. It's not the same thing. Anyways, but the ultimate thing here is that AC Milan, they're not going to get pushed over. They wanted to get rid of him, and that was clear. I would have never thought that he was even for sale until that, and I'm sure this might have been a recurrent issue to where they were like, you know what, man, get this guy off because we're gonna end up losing points or whatever, something. You know what I mean? So, but that was just a point that I wanted to bring up about the investigator that said, "Listen, man, there's a bunch of keyboard warriors. We would have never known." But
well, I'll tell you something, Steve. I'm just looking at what Stephen Hawker said. He said, well, look, and I've just checked it, and he's absolutely right there that the previous highest that an Italian's moved for was 57 million for this is euros, 57 million euros for Jorginho, and we paid 63 million for Tonali.
right.
And Buffon was 53 when he moved from Parma to Juventus in 2001. I find that incredible, actually, except for the fact that by and large Italians don't move.
That's exactly.
Because
You
the
took my
Italians,
answer, man.
the Italians have got that much money anyway that the
Name me top Italian players that move out of Italy. Top.
Yeah, and so that's possibly the reason, which again in itself is a bit suspicious because Tonali is number. I mean, you could see when we went to the San Siro, I was there. You could see the adoration that the Milan fans still had for Tonali.
Oh, 100%.
It was the equivalent. It was equivalent, like you said before, of Shearer coming back to the tune.
Because exactly, man.
And so again, it makes you wonder why he would come to the tune and why it was what it was.